My name is Lucy, and right now I live with my husband Alex in the same house as his parents. We bought this house 3 years after getting married, but shortly after we moved in, Alex's parents unexpectedly showed up. They thanked us profusely for buying the house for them, bringing a lot of luggage along with a moving truck. I was shocked, but Alex seemed unfazed as he greeted them casually and ushered them inside. As Alex's mother mentioned counting on me, I realized they intended to live here. Feeling overwhelmed by their luggage, I asked Alex what was happening. He casually responded that we bought the house for his parents to live with us. I was stunned. I had mentioned the possibility of living with my parents sometime in the future, but never discussed living with his parents. Why did this sudden arrangement come about without my knowledge? Confused and feeling blindsided, I questioned Alex about his decision. He seemed to realize he hadn't consulted me and mentioned that if we were going to live with anyone, it should be his parents rather than mine, to prevent them from taking over. I was so taken aback that all I could manage was a surprised huh. It was especially bewildering because he had previously agreed when I mentioned living with my parents. Perhaps Alex had agreed before just to avoid confrontation with me. By inviting his parents first, he prevented my parents from moving in. What was he really thinking? He agreed before when I mentioned my parents eventually living with us, but now he brought his own parents. Are they really going to live here? I've been pondering a lot too. But he didn't wait for my response and rushed for an answer, so I couldn't say no at that moment. I didn't rush you at all, he countered. I just asked for your opinion. I wanted to live with my parents. Then you should have made that clear when I brought up the topic of living together, I retorted. Stop acting like a child. Living with Alex, I've realized he has a very childlike personality. Whenever I do something, he comes over curious, asking, "What are you doing?" Maybe children are easier to deal with. If a child shows interest in household chores, you can suggest, "Want to try?" and they might engage. But Alex asserts housework is not a man's job. I thought dealing with a childish adult might be more troublesome than an actual child. Apparently overhearing our argument, my mother-in-law started keeping her distance, advising Lucy, "You might feel dissatisfied over trivial matters between husband and wife, but some compromise is necessary." I sensed a demand in her words. My in-laws seem to view me merely as an appendage to their son. If they think I'm just an accessory making a fuss about not wanting to live together, her behavior makes sense from my perspective. Alex is the accessory, but they don't seem to see it that way. My mother-in-law was eager to help with household chores, but their attitude was grating on my nerves. This situation continued, and as I pondered how to respond to their attitude, Alex's sister Kate visited. Kate is 5 years younger than me, already married 3 times, and currently living with a new husband. When I returned home, Kate was already there. "Welcome back, Lucy," Kate greeted me. "I heard about it. You stood up to my brother and tried to kick our parents out of this house." I was shocked and looked sharply at Alex sitting beside me. Why would Alex tell such a lie? Was it to make me look like the enemy? Alex wilted under my gaze, averting his eyes. If he felt awkward, he shouldn't have chosen words that blamed me in the first place. Then Kate, who had been observing, stood up as if to protect Alex. "Lucy, if you're going to make such a face, please leave. Just as I heard, you are a demon wife. It's bad for prenatal education to have you around." Being suddenly told to leave, I was confused about which part of the house she was referring to. For a moment, I thought she wanted me to leave Alex's room, where he was enjoying conversation with his sister. But that didn't seem to be Kate's intention. She stroked her belly and said, "I'm planning to give birth in my hometown. So, Lucy, I don't want you in the house, at least until my child comes into this world." Confused, I replied, "What do you mean?" "Wow, Lucy, that face is scary. No wonder my brother avoids you. You might be close to getting divorced." Kate teased me with a smirk on her face. When I looked towards Alex, he was avoiding my gaze, looking down. Even if the other person is a dear sister, anyone would stop her from criticizing their wife. However, just as Kate pointed out, maybe Alex is getting tired of me. But being told such things, my interest in him also waned. I can't forgive him for inviting his parents to live with us without my permission and for speaking ill of me to his parents and sister. His attitude seemed to belittle me. Why should I continue to treat such a person with affection? I felt my feelings for him growing cold. And since there was no room, I decided I'll be using your room. Please organize your belongings now, big brother, Kate continued. Say something too. It's been hard for you because of the demon wife, right? Kate prompted Alex. Alex hung his head at Kate's words but stood up, pulled up by her forceful hand. Prompted by her, he gave a strained smile and said, My important sister is going to give birth here, so we don't need you. You can sleep on the streets or something. Reflecting on the 3 years of marriage, I took a deep breath and replied, All right. Kate exclaimed with joy, raising both hands. Really? I'm so happy. Alex let out a sigh of relief as I didn't respond with anger. However, in my heart, I had decided to give appropriate punishment to Alex, Kate, and my in-laws. One evening during a family dinner, I presented Alex with divorce papers. His face was a picture of surprise. Sign the divorce papers, I said. You want me to leave this house, right? If you don't sign, I'll stay here. If that's the case, big brother, why don't you sign? Kate interjected. But in the end, I think Lucy won't file them. I'd often use that trick to get them to sign. And if you don't want a divorce, just follow along. It seemed Kate had used these papers in the past to manipulate situations to her advantage. Such a person is bound to be divorced, I thought, but she seemed oblivious. Alex, accepting Kate's suggestion, signed the divorce papers without hesitation. It bothered me that he misunderstood my intention, thinking I presented the papers just as a threat. Normally, such documents aren't presented without the intention to divorce. However, getting his signature so easily made me feel a bit lighter. Now I could take full revenge on them. The divorce was finalized, and I promptly organized my belongings. At that time, Kate was back home, confirming her plans for childbirth. Hence, she said she didn't intend to come to the house until my belongings were properly stored and the room was cleaned. As a result, I diligently packed up after returning from work. In the meantime, I found and signed a lease for an apartment suitable for singles and began the process of selling the house. After moving my necessary belongings to the new apartment, I visited my in-laws' house. There, I found Alex, Kate, and my in-laws all together. Knowing that my father-in-law and Alex would be off work that day and that my mother-in-law and Kate didn't work, I decided to visit when all of them were present. My sudden visit surprised all 4 of them. Moreover, when I arrived, 3 of them, except Kate, seemed to have been enjoying alcohol since the afternoon. In their presence, Alex was saying, "Lucky that woman left. She thought if she got angry, everything would go as she wanted. She acted so arrogantly, troubling me." My mother-in-law responded, "Indeed, Lucy had a somewhat difficult personality." The reason I was angry with Alex was that he started living with his parents and even made me leave the house for his sister, all without discussing it with me. I was angry because of his unreasonable actions. However, it seems within the in-laws family, I am somehow perceived as the bad one. Listening further, remember the girl I introduced earlier? It seems he started dating her, but she's a better match than the previous sister-in-law, right? I think a more adorable woman suits my brother better. They discussed his shocking affair. If the relationship started a week ago, that was when I was already proceeding with the divorce, so I guess it won't be an issue of infidelity. But still, his actions infuriated me. I briskly opened the room door and checked the faces of the chatting in-law family. The 4 of them seemed not to expect my return and were surprised. I came with the real estate agent. "Ah, Lucy, who is that man behind you?" Alex asked, pointing to the man behind me. Before I could say anything, Kate exclaimed, "Isn't that sister-in-law's new partner? Brother, this is infidelity. Let's make her support us financially." Amidst everyone thinking Alex and I are still married, I've lost all patience with Kate. who, despite having introduced Alex to a new lover, is now making a fuss demanding money. Amidst this, the real estate agent handed a business card to my father-in-law and greeted him. Looking at the card, my father-in-law wondered, "Why is someone from real estate here?" The agent replied, "To appraise the value of this house." My in-laws exchanged glances and started laughing. "We plan to continue living here, so no appraisal is needed." However, the agent clearly stated, "Actually, this house is in Lucy's name. She wishes to sell it, so we are proceeding with the sale." Upon hearing this, my in-laws showed expressions of surprise, seemingly unaware of this fact. Perhaps Alex hadn't accurately conveyed this information. Alex said he would explain the details himself, so I left it alone. However, from my in-laws' attitude, it was clear that they had not received this information. They seemed to think I was just a burden and that Alex was supporting me by buying this house. So I plan to explain the truth about the house's ownership and financial aspects to Alex and his parents if the situation doesn't improve after a while. However, before I could explain, Alex's sister, Kate, appeared and kicked me out of the house as the owner. Therefore, I judged the dialogue with this in-law family became difficult and decided to take direct action. That action was to find a new home for myself, complete the move, and then promptly sell this house. Alex seemed to take Kate's words at face value and was complacent, thinking I wouldn't divorce. Seeing Alex's surprised face, I sighed inwardly. Since I, the owner, was kicked out of this house, it makes sense to sell it, I explained. It might be, but this residence is mine as well. And since we're married, it's also yours, right? Now my parents and sister are living here too. So, whether you or your family are here, it's irrelevant to me. Besides, we divorced quite some time ago. You signed the divorce papers, right? I submitted them to the city hall immediately. At my words, Alex seemed shocked and said, "What?" He seemed to think the divorce papers were just a threat. Disappointed, I sighed again. Then Kate started accusing. "Such an unforgivable woman, this she-devil, using my brother's money to get the house and then putting it in your name. I wonder who she thinks is the cause of this situation." I stared at Kate. "Your beloved brother actually doesn't have any money. He's working, but all his income goes to repaying borrowed money." "Why does my brother have debts?" Kate asked. "Isn't that because he paid your living expenses?" Kate had been married 3 times, but 2 of them ended due to her infidelity. Each time, she would say, "Please keep it a secret from my parents. I don't have the funds, so help me." And Alex would comply with her unreasonable requests. At first, I didn't notice, but then I discovered that the savings we were supposed to be building together had significantly decreased. I confronted Alex about it, and it turned out that he had been giving living expenses to his sister Kate without telling me. Despite this, I resolved the house payments using my own savings. I was beyond surprised and felt utter disdain for him for giving his sister such an amount of money. Even if he said he would pay back the money in the future, I could no longer trust his word. I hired a lawyer to recover our joint savings that he had squandered. Before I could share this fact, his parents, learning about their daughter's infidelity, exploded in anger. All her past divorces, she said, they were due to personality clashes. To think Kate was unfaithful, such a dirty child. We didn't raise our children to be adulterers. Wait, Mom, Dad, it's just Lucy talking nonsense. This isn't true, Alex protested. Perhaps feeling disadvantaged in this situation, even Alex, who doted on Kate so much, exclaimed, "It's all your fault because of all the money I gave to you to support your life. I ended up in debt. And because of you, Lucy, and I had to divorce." Hearing this, I said, "Is it really all Kate's fault? It was your decision to suddenly bring your parents to my house, wasn't it? It was you who collaborated with your family to label me a wicked wife. And to think, just because your sister is your favorite, you plan to drive me out of the house, eventually leaving me to live on the streets. That's ridiculous." He tried to cling to my leg, but I kicked him away. I'll be getting back all the money I paid on your behalf. Prepare yourself. I'm coming with my lawyer tomorrow." With that, I left the house. While we were talking, the house valuation was completed. Fortunately, it looks like the house will be sold as I hoped. The next day, when I showed up with my lawyer and explained the list of expenses he had wasted, his parents, looking at it seriously, said, "So much money existed. Yet because of Kate's actions, they glared sternly at Kate, who was at the corner of the room." It seems his parents came to the house believing Alex's words about taking care of things from now on. But Alex's lies and Kate's adulterous actions had destabilized their retirement life, and they were furious. Alex incurred additional debt after that. He was immediately kicked out of the house and ended up living in a simple apartment with his family. Kate, facing condemnation from her family, decided to live with her husband for a while and gave birth. However, since the child's hair color was clearly not her husband's, she was kicked out of that house as well. It was difficult for Kate to raise her child properly, and the child was placed in an institution. Kate, with nowhere to go, seemed to have no choice but to return to her condemning family. It seems she is still being asked for money by Alex. But I am free. I am enjoying my independent life and considering trying something new in the future.